When you're like looking for your next gig, you're always like chasing that next project. But is that project really right for you? And is it kind of following your values and what you want to be doing? My name's Aradhana, and I'm the creative director and partner or co-founder at TheLittleLabs. Yeah, we've been doing the studio since 2016. I started my career off as an animator. I studied animation at SCAD, and after graduating, I kind of fell into the space of game development and interactive experiences. My career was completely different before I started in the motion industry. I was working at Disney, and after working several years there, decided I was tired of the corporate space, and my partner Camilo and we decided to quit and start the studio. I think the biggest challenge has been that I am more creative, and so understanding the business side of it has always been a challenge that I'm hopefully starting to overcome now. But that has been probably something I didn't realize that, oh yeah, I'm starting the studio, but it's an actual business that I need to run and understand HR and finance and all of this stuff. And you have a team, and there's a lot more that goes into just making cool stuff, on a daily basis. And it's a collaborative effort, and it's a lot of people skills and a lot of like understanding, like how do you, it's like thinking long term, not just like your immediate goals. Like while I'm always, in the projects and trying to make fun stuff, trying to do the best we can, there's always like, okay, I have this project, but what's the next one? And what is the next fun thing you want to do? How do we stay relevant in the industry? And are we following our passion? That's been like always the biggest question, because when you're running this, like, when you're like looking for your next gig, you're always like chasing that next project. But is that project really right for you? And is it kind of following your values and what you want to be doing? Yeah, actually, I should add a little bit more detail about that. So when I quit, it was basically Camilo and myself. We were kind of working as an artist, like a duo, where he would kind of illustrate and design, and I would animate. But we would also just freelance around different studios here in Los Angeles and remotely as well. When we quit, we didn't have a specific goal of starting a studio. It was sort of like, oh, we want to explore what else we can be doing. And that freelance career sort of snowballed into a studio setup where our projects just started getting larger and bigger, and we needed more people to work on the projects. And it was a very organic sort of path for us. And I think in that is where a little bit of the challenge came in, as we were not prepped for that. We were prepped to be as freelancers. And so it has been a lot of learnings for us through the years, just figuring out and navigating the industry. We were also freelancing in a different industry than we were before. We were at Disney in the animation interactive space, and it's just entertainment industry. And I know there's some crossover between motion and entertainment, but we were almost like starting from scratch in an industry we weren't very attuned to. It was exciting. It's been in a way, it was very exciting, like changing gears and figuring this world out. No, we didn't put a lot of thought into it. It's sort of like, the projects and the clients started getting bigger, and we realized we couldn't do it all. We were working 16 hours a day sometimes, and that was burning us out incredibly. And we asked for help and advice, and it just seemed like that was the path we needed to take in order to have a sort of healthy work-life balance. And that it just was like, okay, we need to do this. We need to be able to take vacation and holidays. We can't be like working 16 hours all the time. We were starting to burn out, and it was just like a wake-up call. We're like, all right, are we going to continue doing this, or are we going to go back to full-time? And so we just kind of kept going in the direction of, all right, we're going to take this path. I would say that we've been lucky that clients do come like knocking on our door, and that's how we kind of started. Honestly, we we just were posting a lot on Instagram, Dribble, all of the, spaces, Behance when we started out, just kind of doing work and like, putting stuff out there. And thankfully, back in those days, Instagram's algorithm was a lot different than it is now. And I recognize it's a huge struggle at the moment. There's just so much out there. But when we were starting out, it would get noticed and people would call us and, be like, oh, we'd love to work with you. And that kind of helped us get started. Um, I say now the strategy doesn't work entirely because the social media spaces it's changed a ton, and we'll post something and you'll see the viewership as opposed to how many followers you have. I mean, I'm sure everybody everybody's aware of it. It's such a it's wild. It's the wild west out there at the moment, and it is, yeah. And so we've been working on cold emailing, reaching out. We've tried all of the things. It doesn't always work, but every 1 in 100 you'll land something that by chance. A lot of it is like networking, trying to get people to meet you for a cup of coffee or lunch. It's hard with COVID. We're coming off the pandemic and I feel it's getting better now. But during this couple of years, it was really hard to to do business development, what I would say. But staying active on LinkedIn has helped us a ton as well. I think like trying to keep connected with people in the past. I think when you're trying to sell yourself, like people are like, all right, this is, they start to put up a wall. So my biggest advice is just try to be friends and be a good person and just try to, it's not just take, but also give to people. So that, and I'm not sure if I'm explaining this right, but if you're uplifting other people, they will also uplift you, and so you'll have this kind of mutual relationship in putting yourself out there, being outspoken. At this moment, LinkedIn has been our best platform to be able to reach people for sure. Oftentimes we can start comparing ourselves to others, and you start to feel less of yourself. And, we all go through this, especially when you're starting out, because what we've been talking about, like you see all these people, like they have all these great experiences, great jobs, and you're looking online and searching through, people, and they're like, everybody looks amazing. And there's a lot of work that went into it, but also they also started somewhere. And this idea of like, let's not compare ourselves to each other. We're all at a certain journey. We've all had different backgrounds and paths that we're taking. And recognize that you're going to get there. You just have to keep improving, keep learning, and keep practicing to get there. And I wish I had that understanding. I think it caused a lot of sort of turmoil for me in the beginning, where I just was like, it actually hurt my confidence because I was not being, the internal self-talk that we do to ourselves, that I'm not good enough. And you are, and you absolutely are. And everybody is just in their own paths, and we are figuring it out. I feel like when you're in art school or just college in general, you have grades and all this stuff, and it kind of keeps you in this system of you need to be perfect. You need to get that A class, all the time. And this idea kind of gets stuck in you that you need to make this perfect drawing, perfect animation, perfect motion piece. And, and it kind of holds you back again, the same idea of like, you're chasing this like perfect environment. And that's not what life is all about. It's like, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, and we're here to learn, and success doesn't look, somebody, it's not linear. It's going to be like all crazy and, and you'll get there. And life is messy, and messy is okay, and you'll figure it out. Making the stuff that you really want to work on. I feel when you're just starting out, you're trying to figure out what you need in your portfolio, what kind of work should I be doing to land a job, etc. And then I feel like I found the biggest success in just doing the work that I love. and that sends this like message out to the world of like, this is me, this is what I love doing. Now the people who need your services or need your work are going to come to you naturally if you do the work that you love. That it's hard because you're like, what is the stuff that's going to make me money, and like, what is the kind of work that's trending right now? In the long run, for chasing those sort of like flashy jobs or like flashy like projects isn't always the right path for you. It might be the right path for somebody else because they love doing that, but your path is going to look a lot different than that. And so like figuring out like your purpose and like your passion is so important. As artists, we're all feeding off of each other, right? And so we're all inspired by each other, which is great. But at some point you're like, okay, this isn't me. Like it's great to do that and gather inspiration, but how do you always add your own flavor to it? Every art piece is a copy of somebody else. I think like there isn't a lot of unique stuff. And so, which is also great. Like as you're just starting out here, this idea of perfection, you're like, oh, I'm trying to make something just me, and you get bogged down. It's like letting go. It's okay to be inspired by people, but I'll also bring in your own flavor to it. And be true to yourself. So it's always kind of balancing that. And you see in the work on, Dribble. There was a time where everything looked the same, and now everything is looking the same on Instagram. But you'll see people doing different things, and that, somebody does something really amazing and brand new, and then everybody starts following that trend. And that happens naturally. It's you get inspired by things, and then that's always like trying to bring back that compass to yourself is the tricky part. Never stop investing in yourself. Life is a continued path of learnings. When I started the studio with my partner, like we were talking about earlier, it was like, well, we now need to learn this business thing, and that has been, a big learning opportunity. Either you can be like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore and stop, or let's like dive in. Like this is a new challenge. This is a new learning opportunity. Let's figure this out. I think when you're starting out, I think sometimes you're like, oh, I need to just get a job, and then you get cushy in the job and you stop investing in yourself. And it's so important because you kind of inhibit yourself from growing. And it's important to be like, okay, what's the next software I should be learning? Or is there a different skill that I want to be excited to learn about? It could be anything. It could be crafting. It could be a hobby that you're taking on. And it's interesting how life works, because those things will all feed into what you're doing in some way or the other. We had an art gallery like when we started like freelancing, and it was just a fun thing. We were like, oh, we rented this space and started like showcasing artwork by different artists and inviting friends for shows. And it was just we learned so much from it. Just like taking, getting a camera, setting up, and taking photographs of artwork, and it all sort of like helps you in your work. It doesn't have to be just motion design or just animation. It could be outside and adjacent or completely different, and it'll add to your skill set, what you bring to a team in any given routing. Finding your community and support system, it's great, like when you're trying to learn and do it all by yourself, but sometimes it's okay to ask for help if you're struggling. I think I learned this a little too late in my career, probably, but better late than never. Reaching out to people. This industry is so amazing, and every time I reached out to people, they follow through, come back. Everyone's so giving. You're like, okay, let's hop on a call, let's chat through this. Like, what are you going through? How can I help? And it's when you're an introvert, which I can be a lot of times, it's kind of takes it's hard to put reach out for that support or have that conversation. And that's probably one of the biggest things when you're starting out, you do less of. I was someone had sat me down and been like, Aradhana, you need to do this for yourself, like ask for help. And I come from a family of not that many creators, I would say. And so I mean, they were very supportive, but they didn't necessarily know how to guide me in this career. So my community and my friends have been like the biggest avenue for that. So leaning into it, and sometimes you kind of get stuck in this bubble also between your friends, and like reaching out to people outside of that is very nurturing and helpful. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak on this platform, and thank you to everybody who came here to listen to me. And if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, like, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah.